There are two kinds of chess players. Chess players who attack and try to checkmate the opponent's king, and chess players who play for squares. I'm the first kind. Since I learned chess, I learned that the game ends by checkmate. I'm always playing for checkmate. Let me share with you a game of mine played at the beginning of this year, 2023, at the National Friends with Chess. In my favorite opening, the Accelerated Dragon. Interestingly, I was playing against somebody who also plays the Accelerated Dragon, a Nigerian player called Maduagwuna Emmanuel. Something of an interesting character, always, doing all sorts of funny things on the board. But anyway, this was in round three. We both had 2 out of 2, and I was playing on board one in this tournament. So let's see the game. So Emmanuel starts with e4, c5, playing the Sicilian, knight c6. Okay, and this is the move that shows that Black wants to play an accelerated dragon. Okay, so fair enough. Nothing, nothing crazy yet. This is fairly standard. Bishop e3. Okay, knight f6. Now, this move is supposed to be one of the critical tests of the accelerated dragon. It's the Yugoslav attack, and White's idea, as Bobby Fischer said, is to play f3, queen d2, h4, h5, g4, and just checkmate Black on the king side. So he plans to castle on the queen side and play for an attack on the king side. His idea is that simple. Castles, bishop b3. And here, I played the first strange move, rook e8. And this move, I noticed, kind of rattled my opponent a bit because he didn't really understand what the point of the move was. So it was nice to get in some nice preparation. So, believe it or not, this move actually prepares the pawn sacrifice pawn to d5. And this kind of move is my favorite kind of move because it looks as if white is controlling the d5 square many times, right? With the bishop on b3, the pawn on e4, the knight on c3. And it looks like we'll just be losing a pawn. And if he moves the knight on d4 out of the way, um, he will add the queen to the defense of d5. If he plays queen d2 and castles queen side, he will add another rook behind the queen, to defend the d5 square. So my opponent um, really didn't understand what was happening here. He didn't understand that my threat was d5. Okay, so I played. He played f3. He's just playing what he planned to play anyway. Boom, absolutely boom. And I remember he was even muttering to me during the game, and he actually said that I was going to play e6. I think he even wrote it down. He assumed that my idea was to play e6 and d5. Okay, so that was his own interpretation of rook e8, but he was wrong. Of course, I wanted to play this very nice pawn sacrifice. Okay, so in the accelerated dragon, Black is always trying to achieve d5, and if he achieves d5 successfully, he will have a great position. Okay, so d5, it looks as though White is about to just win the pawn for nothing. So let's see what happens. So he takes the pawn. Okay, and then I play knight b4. Um, well, in this position, it was also possible, actually, for him to capture with the pawn. Um, in which case, I would have played knight b4. Um, yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's go on. So knight b4. So he decided not to try to hold on to the pawn. And well, I'm not so sure about this decision. I think more critical would have been to try to hold on to the pawn. If you try to hold on to the pawn with something like knight e2, anyway, I was going to play pawn to e6, trying to open up the e file for my rook. And I believe in that position. I'm a pawn down, but I have a lot of activity. Also, my bishop is attacking the pawn on b2. So clearly, something has gone wrong for white in this opening. Okay, so queen d2. Yeah, I get my pawn back, but of course, I'm not satisfied. I'm not doing this just to get my pawn back. I'm trying to get an attack. Now, this move was a bit annoying because, okay, maybe at some point you want to play pawn to e5, and he's preventing that. Also, I can't play pawn to h6. Perhaps I can. I remember I really did want to play pawn to h6 with the idea that if he takes on h6, then I will play e5 and maybe there's some queen h4 there. But I just wasn't convinced. Like even h6, bishop h4, and I wasn't so sure what was happening in that position. So anyway, I played queen to b6, attacking his knight on d4. Okay, he castled, rook d8. Now, black is making some progress, but black is also a bit uncomfortable because this e7 pawn is uh, is under fire, and it's not so easy to address. This attack on the e7 pawn. It's not so easy because now you can't play e6 because your rook is pinned. Your rook on d8. So things were getting a bit tricky here. But rook d8, at least we have our queen on the same line as our opponent's rook, as our opponent's queen. I beg your pardon. Okay, so now c3. So my opponent thinks that he's making progress. He's consolidating, and it's not so easy for me to develop my light squared bishop, right? Because okay, bishop d7 looks strange and loses the knight on d5. Bishop e6 is rubbish. Bishop f5 looks weird. So unless black is able to come up with some really creative idea, he's getting stuck. How do you complete development? We're getting stuck. But the a pawn comes to the rescue. A pawn comes to the rescue. Okay. My opponent thinking that okay, I'm not doing anything much. He's preventing bishop to f5 in some positions. That's not actually an attacking move. That's a prophylactic move. He doesn't want my bishop to come to f5. If it turns out that he has to move the knight on d4. Also, he's kind of preparing because obviously black's idea is to play a4 followed by a3. So yeah, he's kind of preparing to is preparing is playing against my idea, which is a4 and a3. So he wants to give up the bishop, but he doesn't want to be worried about any bishop f5s. Okay, here we go. Takes, takes. So my opponent here thought that he was winning. I saw his body language. I saw his, he thought that, okay, now his strategy has worked. He has won the e7 pawn. Life is good. Also, he has prevented bishop, from coming to f5. But as we know, life is hardly ever that simple. Of course, I had seen this position and I had this prepared. Boom. So it turns out that there's a problem because now if you capture on d4, I can play queen c7 check to win your bishop on e7. Opponent is in some trouble. So he was trying to be smart, trying to be smart. I won't want you. With the idea that okay, my bishop is pinned. I can't move the bishop out of the way. Um, but of course, this is faulty. Exclam, if I do say so myself. Okay, so this is the problem. He's moving his king out of the way, saying that okay, I want to win your bishop on the next move, and you no longer have queen c7 check because my king has gone out of there. But unfortunately, I can unpin my rook by simply bringing it back to a position where it is defended and attacking his bishop, you know, in the same vein. So if he takes my bishop on d4 now, I'll take his bishop on e7. He's lost a piece. And basically, he's lost the game from here. Okay, so life is good. Okay, but a whole piece up. Now, I must confess that I'm a bit ashamed about how this game continued. Now that I'm a piece up, I should just play for an attack and crush him. But see, I became paranoid. You see, I became really paranoid. Now I wanted to exchange queens at all costs. I should be playing for an attack because his king is not, his king is not very safe either. But I just became really, really super paranoid. Really, really super paranoid. Okay, I just want to exchange. I don't even want to attack you. See, his king is naked. I should be trying to checkmate him, but see what I'm doing. See, I want to exchange queens. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I played like this. I feel bad. I feel bad. But sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. Queen B2. I'm not playing for an attack. I'm no longer playing for an attack. Please take my queen. Let's exchange queens. And so I'm sure that, you know, the possibility of an attack is yeah, has become non-existent. Okay, so now my opponent, was behaving as if he was going to resign. Then after behaving as if he was about to resign, then he will play another move. And he was playing strongly. So I started getting worried, like, what's this guy doing? Do you want to resign or do you want to play? And suddenly his king is coming to escort the pawn on d5. It's getting tricky. My bishop doesn't have too many squares. His king is becoming very active. So I had to be really careful here. So b6, making sure that the king cannot come in. Hmm. Okay, that pawn is coming forward. Oh, check. Okay, finally, okay, I'm making progress. Making progress. But he's still disturbing my peace. Check. Finally, finally, we brought it under control. Finally, we brought it under control. Finally. And okay, it was a bit embarrassing that he kept playing here. Okay, position is completely gone. But okay. He can't blame a man for licking his wounds. Yeah, just let's queen those pawns. So I really like this game. I showed that I had the better understanding of the accelerated dragon, even though my opponent also plays the opening. So I hope you enjoyed this. See you at the next one. Bye.